The man had been traveling for a week, moving from one city to another for business meetings that seemed endless. His mind was tired, his body was worn, and the thought of returning home brought a mix of relief and anxiety. He had always worried about his daughter, who had been born with a condition that made her wheelchair-bound. He loved her more than anything in the world. But he knew how fragile life could be for someone like her, and he hated the thought of leaving her even for a single day as he drove home. The streets looked familiar, yet there was a quiet tension in him that made everything feel different. The house, standing tall at the end of the street, seemed peaceful from the outside, bathed in the soft glow of the late afternoon sun. The man parked his Kutha. Music had been playing for a while, filling the room with a gentle, uplifting rhythm. The father stood nearby, quietly watching, still amazed at how natural and effortless the interaction between the two girls had become. His daughter was smiling from ear to ear, her laughter echoing in the room. The stranger guiding her movements was full of patience, kindness, and understanding. It was a scene that was both beautiful and profound, a perfect blend of joy and connection. Finally, the father felt it was time to step fully into the moment. He moved closer to the two girls, making his presence known without interrupting the dance. His daughter turned toward him, still beaming, and exclaimed, "Daddy, look! I'm learning new steps. Isn't it fun?" The father felt a rush of emotion, realizing that this simple statement carried so much meaning. His daughter was not just participating in an activity. She was thriving, feeling capable and included. He felt tears prick at the corners of his eyes as he knelt beside her, gently holding her hands and offering his support. The girl guiding his daughter noticed him and smiled warmly. She didn't pause or seem nervous. Instead, she gave him a reassuring nod, showing him that she understood the situation and respected his presence. Her calm confidence and empathy put him at ease. He realized that this girl had not just come into their home to dance, but to create an environment where his daughter could feel empowered, happy, and valued. It was a rare and extraordinary gift, and he felt a deep sense of gratitude. He watched as the girl continued to lead, carefully adapting each movement to match his daughter's abilities. She encouraged her to try small spins, guiding her hands gently and clapping softly for every success. When his daughter faltered, the girl offered a supportive touch, helping her regain confidence without making her feel incapable. The father marveled at the balance she maintained, providing guidance while allowing his daughter to feel independent and capable. It was clear that this was not just about dancing. It was about building confidence, trust, and self-belief. As the music flowed, the father reflected on his daughter's life. She had faced many challenges due to her condition, and opportunities for true connection and confidence were often limited. Yet in this room, with this girl by her side, she was experiencing something extraordinary. She was laughing freely, trying new movements, and, most importantly, feeling a sense of pride and achievement. The father realized that these moments of joy and inclusion were just as important as any physical therapy or structured lesson. They were life-changing in their own way. He thought about how the girl had created this environment almost effortlessly. She had entered their home with no agenda other than to share kindness and connection. She had provided his daughter with something priceless, a feeling of being capable, valued, and celebrated. The father felt a deep sense of admiration and humility. He had always wanted the best for his daughter, but he realized that sometimes the most meaningful gifts come from unexpected sources and simple acts of empathy. The father decided to engage more directly, offering words of encouragement and gently joining in when appropriate. "You're doing wonderfully, sweetheart," he said softly. His daughter's eyes sparkled, and she turned to him, nodding with pride. The girl guiding her continued to smile, understanding that his presence added to the moment rather than detracted from it. It was a beautiful collaboration, a seamless dance of support, trust, and connection between the three of them. He noticed how the girl's guidance extended beyond physical movements. She would whisper words of encouragement, celebrate each achievement, and provide a safe space for mistakes. Her presence was nurturing, patient, and full of understanding. The father realized that she was teaching his daughter more than just dance steps. She was teaching her confidence, resilience, and the joy of shared experiences. It was a profound lesson, delivered with simplicity and warmth. Minutes passed, and the father observed the subtle ways the girl helped his daughter gain independence. She allowed her to lead in certain movements, adjusting only when necessary, and celebrated each step with genuine excitement. The father felt a deep sense of gratitude. His daughter was not just learning to dance. She was learning to trust herself, to believe in her abilities, and to embrace joy without hesitation. The girl had created a space where his daughter could flourish. And he knew this experience would have a lasting impact. The father reflected on his own role in his daughter's life. He had always tried to protect her, often shielding her from disappointment or failure. But he now understood that true growth came from experiences like this, moments where she could explore, try new things, and feel the thrill of accomplishment. The girl had shown him the power of patience, empathy, and human connection. He realized that sometimes the best way to support someone is to step back, allow them to take risks, and celebrate their successes. No matter how small, the music continued to flow, soft and uplifting as the girls moved together. The father watched his daughter's confidence grow with each movement. She tried new steps, laughed when she stumbled, and smiled brightly when she succeeded. The girl beside her remained a steady presence, offering guidance only when needed and celebrating each achievement with genuine joy. The father felt a profound sense of hope. He realized that his daughter could experience a life rich in joy, confidence, and connection, and that this girl had opened the door to those experiences. Finally, the father took a moment to speak directly to the girl. "Thank you," he said, his voice full of sincerity. "You've given my daughter something truly special today." The girl smiled gently, her eyes reflecting understanding and humility. "I just wanted her to have fun and feel happy," she replied softly. The father nodded, realizing that her simple intention had created a profound impact. She had given his daughter the gift of confidence, joy, and the belief that she could participate fully in life. Despite her challenges, the father continued to watch as the dance came to a gentle pause. His daughter sat in her wheelchair, her face glowing with happiness and pride. She turned to the girl and said, "Thank you for teaching me. I had so much fun." The girl smiled and nodded, understanding that her presence had made a difference. The father felt a surge of emotion. He knew that this was more than just a dance. It was a transformative experience, a moment that would stay with his daughter forever and shape the way she viewed herself and her abilities. He knelt beside his daughter, holding her hands and looking into her eyes. "You were amazing today," he whispered. "I am so proud of you." She smiled brightly, her joy evident in every expression. The father turned to the girl and said again, "You have touched our lives in a way I cannot fully express. Thank you for being here today." The girl simply nodded, her presence calm and full of warmth. And the father realized that this encounter had been a gift for all of them. As the father reflected on the day, he understood the profound lesson that had been shared: true joy, connection, and growth come from empathy, patience, and genuine care. The girl had taught his daughter to believe in herself, to embrace her abilities, and to experience happiness without hesitation. She had also taught him the value of stepping back, allowing space for growth, and recognizing the power of human kindness. This moment, simple yet extraordinary, had transformed their lives in ways that would be remembered forever. The father felt a sense of peace and hope as he watched the two girls share a final smile and gentle gesture of thanks. He knew that his daughter had experienced something truly special, something that would influence her confidence, self-belief, and happiness for years to come. The girl had brought light, joy, and understanding into their home, leaving a lasting impression on both father and daughter. And in that moment, the father realized that sometimes the most meaningful experiences in life come from unexpected sources, from people who show kindness, patience, and empathy without asking for anything in return. This dance, this connection, had been more than just movement. It had been a transformative experience that would be remembered and cherished forever. Aaron got out, taking a deep breath before unlocking the door. He didn't expect anything unusual. He thought he would see his daughter quietly sitting by the window, maybe reading or drawing, waiting for him to come back. But as he opened the door, he immediately heard music and laughter drifting from the living room. Curious, he moved quietly through the hallway, careful not to make a sound. He wanted to understand what was happening before he interrupted. As he approached the living room, he stopped in his tracks. What he saw made his heart pause. There, in the middle of the room, his daughter was smiling like he had never. The father had been watching quietly for several minutes, completely absorbed in the scene before him. The room was alive with music and laughter, and the energy of the two girls dancing together seemed to fill every corner of the house. His daughter's joy was contagious, and even he felt a sense of happiness rising within him. He had never seen her express herself so freely, so confidently, and so purely. There was no hesitation, no fear, just movement and laughter in its most genuine form. Finally, the father stepped closer, feeling the need to make his presence known without disturbing the magic of the moment. He cleared his throat softly, and both girls paused. His daughter looked up at him, her eyes shining with excitement and pride. "Daddy, look at what she's teaching me," she exclaimed, her voice full of joy. The father felt his heart swell with emotion. Seeing his daughter so alive and confident brought a mix of relief, pride, and gratitude that was hard to put into words. The girl dancing with his daughter glanced at him briefly, then smiled warmly. She seemed completely at ease, showing no fear or hesitation despite the sudden attention. Her eyes held kindness and understanding, and she continued to hold his daughter's hand gently. The father noticed that she was not defensive or nervous, but simply calm and confident in her actions. She maintained the flow of the dance effortlessly, allowing his daughter to lead when she wanted to, guiding her when needed. And celebrating every small achievement, the father realized that he had been holding his breath, worried about how his daughter would respond to a stranger, how she would react to being pushed out of her comfort zone. But seeing the trust and joy on her face, he knew that this girl had created a safe and empowering environment. She had not only engaged his daughter physically, but it also touched her heart. There was a bond forming before his very eyes, one built on trust, patience, and genuine care. He knelt beside his daughter's wheelchair, feeling a need to be part of this moment without overshadowing the connection she had with the girl. "You're doing amazing, sweetheart," he whispered, his voice full of emotion. She smiled brightly and nodded, her eyes sparkling with pride. The father looked at the girl and nodded in appreciation, acknowledging her role in creating this extraordinary experience. She responded with a gentle smile, her presence calm and reassuring. The father's mind wandered to the many times his daughter had felt limited, hesitant, or excluded from activities that other children took for granted. Simple joys that most children experience without thought were often a challenge for her. But in this moment, she was not defined by her disability. She was defined by her laughter, her movement, and the pure joy she felt. And it was all possible because of the girl beside her, who had entered their home with nothing but kindness and the intention to make his daughter feel included. The music continued to flow, soft and uplifting, and the father noticed the subtle ways the girl adapted to his daughter's abilities. She would demonstrate a step, then step back and allow his daughter to try it on her own. When his daughter wavered, the girl would gently guide her hand, helping her regain balance and confidence. Each action was thoughtful, deliberate, and full of care. The father felt a deep sense of admiration for her, recognizing that her actions were shaping his daughter's confidence and self-belief in ways he could never have done alone. He reflected on the value of empathy and patience, realizing that this girl had mastered both without any formal instruction. Her natural ability to connect and understand others was extraordinary. She had created a safe space where his daughter could explore, learn, and celebrate herself. The father felt a quiet sense of awe at how something so simple as a dance, a gesture, a smile, could have such a profound impact. It reminded him that the most important lessons in life often come from human connection and compassion. The father continued to watch as his daughter attempted a new spin, her laughter ringing out as the girl guided her through the movement. When she stumbled slightly, the girl extended her hand, offering support without judgment or pity. The father felt tears prick at the corners of his eyes. He realized that this interaction was teaching his daughter resilience, courage, and the joy of accomplishment. The girl had opened a door that had long been closed, giving his daughter a chance to experience freedom and confidence that he could not always provide. He noticed the subtle communication between the two girls, the way they seemed to understand each other without words. The girl would smile, nod, or adjust her movements in response to his daughter's expressions. It was a dance of empathy, patience, and understanding. The father realized that this connection was teaching his daughter something profound, that she could trust others, that she could find joy in collaboration, and that she was capable of more than she had ever imagined. The girl was not just teaching her to dance. She was teaching her to believe in herself. The father felt a mixture of gratitude and humility. He had always tried to protect his daughter, to shield her from disappointment and failure. But he now understood that true growth came from experiences like this. By allowing his daughter to engage fully, to take risks, and to feel the joy of accomplishment. The girl was providing lessons that could shape her life. He knew that this moment would stay with his daughter forever, a memory of trust, connection, and happiness that would influence her self-confidence for years to come. He stepped a little closer, resting his hand gently on his daughter's shoulder. "You're incredible, sweetheart," he whispered. She looked at him, her eyes shining, and smiled, clearly proud of what she was accomplishing. The girl noticed the gesture and continued to support his daughter, ensuring that the flow of the dance was uninterrupted. The father marveled at the balance she maintained between guidance and independence, encouragement and freedom. It was a rare and precious quality that left a lasting impression on him as the dance continued. The father felt a deep sense of hope. He realized that with moments like these, his daughter could experience life in ways he had always wished for, her full of joy, confidence, and connection. The girl had brought something extraordinary into their lives, not through grand gestures or words, but through simple acts of kindness, patience, and empathy. She had created an environment where his daughter could thrive, and in doing so, had taught him a lesson about the power of human connection. He watched as his daughter attempted a slightly more complicated move, her face full of concentration and excitement. The girl beside her offered gentle guidance, never taking over, always allowing his daughter to feel capable. When she succeeded, the girl clapped softly, celebrating the achievement with genuine joy. The father felt a rush of emotion, realizing that this was more than just a dance, it was a transformative experience, a moment where his daughter's potential and self-belief were being nurtured in ways he could not have imagined. The father stood quietly, absorbing the scene, feeling a profound sense of gratitude. He understood that this encounter had changed something fundamental in his daughter's life. She had experienced trust, inclusion, and empowerment. And she had done so in a way that was joyful, natural, and meaningful. The girl had given her a gift that went beyond words, a gift of confidence, happiness, and the realization that she could be celebrated for who she was as the music played on. The father knew that this moment was rare and precious. It was a reminder that kindness, empathy, and patience could create lasting change, and that the most meaningful experiences often came from human connection. He continued to watch the two girls, marveling at the bond forming before his eyes. He felt a quiet sense of pride, not just in his daughter, but in the way the girl had touched her life, leaving an imprint of joy, trust, and courage that would last a lifetime. The father knew that he had witnessed something extraordinary. The girl had entered their home, danced with his daughter, and in doing so, had created a space where joy, confidence, and connection could flourish. He understood that this experience would influence his daughter's view of herself and the world around her in profound ways. And as he watched them move together, he felt a deep sense of hope and gratitude, knowing that his daughter had experienced a moment that would stay with her forever, a moment of empowerment, trust, and the unspoken magic of human kindness. Seen before? She was twirling in her wheelchair, moving her arms in rhythm with the music. And next to her was a young girl, a stranger, who was dancing with her. The stranger's energy was contagious, full of life and warmth, and she moved with such confidence that it seemed as if she'd belonged there, as if she had always been a part of their home. For a moment, the man didn't know what to think. His protective instincts rose immediately. Who was this girl? How had she gotten into their home? Why was she dancing with his daughter without asking permission? Questions raced through his mind, each one heavier than the last. He wanted to step in, to call out, to demand answers. But something in the scene made him hesitate. His daughter's laughter was pure, unguarded, and it was the first time in a long while that he had seen her so happy. The stranger's presence, instead of feeling intrusive, seemed to create a bubble of joy around them. The man took a few more steps, trying to get a better view without startling them. The girl was not just dancing. She was engaging with his daughter in a way that made the little girl feel capable and free. She guided her gently, showing her small moves and cheering her on when she succeeded. The daughter, who usually hesitated in social situations, responded with excitement, following the stranger's lead. The energy in the room was warm, full of laughter, and completely unlike the quiet, reserved atmosphere he was used to at home. He felt a wave of emotions he could not quite understand. There was surprise, yes, but also a strange relief. His daughter was smiling, enjoying herself, and for once he didn't feel the weight of worry pressing down on him. He watched them for several minutes, his heart softening with each passing second. The stranger was careful, attentive, and patient, making sure his daughter felt included and confident. It was clear that she had experience with children and knew how to bring out the best in them. The father thought about the days when his daughter would sit alone, feeling isolated because she couldn't join in games or activities like other children. He remembered her shy smiles, the way she would quietly observe from a corner, wishing she could participate. Now, seeing her laugh freely and engage so enthusiastically, he felt a mixture of awe and gratitude. He realized that this stranger had given his daughter something that he, despite all his love and care, could not always provide: a sense of normalcy, of connection, of being truly seen and valued. As he stood there, hidden in the doorway, he noticed small details that made him smile even more. The way the girl held his daughter's hand when she needed support, the encouraging words she whispered when a move was tricky, the way she clapped and cheered as his daughter twirled in her wheelchair. It was natural, effortless, and yet deeply meaningful. The father's mind raced, imagining what a difference this encounter could make in his daughter's life. For the first time in a long time, he saw the possibility of genuine friendship for her. Someone who could understand her world and help her experience joy without pity or hesitation. The music continued to play, filling the room with rhythm and energy. The father felt his heart swell with emotion. He realized that the girl was not just a visitor. She was a bridge to something his daughter had been missing: connection, inclusion, and pure, unfiltered happiness. He wanted to step forward to introduce himself, but he also didn't want to disrupt the moment. He decided to stay quiet a little longer, to watch and appreciate the interaction that was unfolding. He felt a growing respect for the stranger and a deep gratitude for the way she was treating his daughter. Minutes passed, and the father observed the subtle ways the girl guided his daughter. She would suggest small dance moves, then allow the little girl to try on her own. When she stumbled or got tired, the girl would offer her hand, helping her regain balance and confidence. It was a perfect balance of support and independence, encouragement and patience. The father realized that this was more than a simple dance. It was a lesson in empathy, kindness, and empowerment. He watched, fascinated, as his daughter's face lit up with joy, her laughter ringing out like music itself. Finally, the father took a small step closer, curiosity and admiration outweighing his initial concern. He wanted to see their interaction more clearly, to understand what was happening between them. As he drew nearer, he noticed the daughter's eyes sparkling with excitement and trust. She was completely comfortable with the girl, following her lead without fear or hesitation. It struck him deeply. Knowing how rare it was for his daughter to feel this level of freedom and confidence around someone outside their family, the stranger seemed to sense the father's presence without looking directly at him. She continued dancing, keeping his daughter engaged. Unaware of the tension that had filled the father's mind just moments before, he felt a mixture of relief and wonder, realizing that this girl had entered their home and immediately created a safe, joyful space for his daughter. It was a powerful reminder that kindness and empathy could break down barriers in ways that words or rules never could. The man stood in the doorway, silently observing the scene, feeling a deep sense of gratitude and awe. His daughter was laughing, her face glowing with happiness, and he knew that this moment would stay with her for a long time. The stranger's presence had brought something magical into their lives, something that could not be measured in words alone. He realized that sometimes the most meaningful moments come unexpectedly, and from people we least expect. As the music played on and the laughter continued, the father allowed himself to relax, to enjoy the scene without interference. He knew he had stumbled upon a rare and precious moment, a moment that his daughter would remember and that he would never forget. And as he watched the two girls dance together, he felt a quiet hope stirring in his heart, a hope that his daughter could experience more of the joy, connection, and love that she deserved. The man stayed in the doorway for a few more moments, quietly taking in the scene before him. He could see how his daughter's face lit up every time the girl smiled at her. There was something about the way the girl moved, the gentle encouragement in her voice, and the way she reached out her hand that made his daughter feel safe and confident. He realized that this was not a casual visit, but something more meaningful. The girl had a natural talent for connecting with people, especially children, and she had instinctively understood how to include his daughter in the joy of movement. He finally stepped into the room, his footsteps soft but deliberate. His daughter noticed him immediately, her laughter pausing as she turned toward him with a bright smile. "Daddy, look at what I can do!" she exclaimed, her voice full of excitement. The man felt his chest tighten with emotion. Seeing his daughter so happy and proud of herself made his heart ache with both joy and love. He knew how much courage it took for her to try new things, and seeing her engage in something she loved brought tears to his eyes. The girl dancing with his daughter looked up and gave him a small, polite nod. She didn't seem nervous or intimidated, even though she was suddenly faced with the presence of the father. Instead, her eyes were full of warmth and confidence. She continued to move alongside his daughter, offering her gentle guidance and encouragement. The man watched, fascinated, as the two girls danced together. The stranger's presence was calming, not intrusive. She had a way of making his daughter feel capable, independent, and joyful all at the same time. Curiosity began to replace his initial apprehension. He wondered who this girl was and why she had come to their home. He had not been expecting anyone, and he certainly had not expected to see someone interact with his daughter in such a free and caring way. Yet as he observed, he began to feel grateful. His daughter had rarely experienced moments like this. Usually, she stayed in her room, quietly reading or drawing, hesitant to try new things because of her condition. But here she was, spinning and laughing with someone who had no reason to be there except to share kindness. The man approached his daughter slowly and knelt down beside her wheelchair. "You're doing great, sweetheart," he said softly, careful not to disturb the moment. She beamed at him, clearly proud that he was watching. The stranger glanced at him briefly and smiled. It was a simple gesture, but it carried confidence and respect. The man realized that the girl had not come into their home to show off or demand attention. She had come to give, to connect, and to bring joy. He felt a deep admiration for her, even though he did not yet know her name or how she had arrived at their doorstep. The girl continued to encourage his daughter, suggesting small dance moves that were perfectly suited to her abilities. She would demonstrate a step, then allow his daughter to try it on her own. When his daughter struggled, the girl would extend a hand, supporting her without making her feel incapable. The father felt a sense of wonder at how naturally she seemed to understand his daughter's needs. He had never seen anyone approach her with such empathy and skill. For a man who was used to controlling situations and managing outcomes, this was both humbling and enlightening. He leaned back slightly, observing their interaction more closely. He noticed that the girl was paying attention not just to his daughter's movements, but also to her emotions. She smiled when his daughter succeeded, encouraged her when she faltered, and maintained a gentle, reassuring presence throughout. It was clear that this girl had a gift for understanding people, for seeing beyond physical limitations, and for inspiring confidence in others. The father felt a sense of relief that someone like her had come into their home. His daughter needed friends, people who could see her for who she was and not just for her disability. This girl was exactly that. As the music continued, the father allowed himself to relax. He noticed the subtle changes in his daughter's expressions, the way her eyes sparkled, the way her smile widened, the little laughs that bubbled out when she succeeded in a dance move. These were moments he had rarely witnessed, moments that showed his daughter's potential for happiness and connection. The girl had opened a door that he had struggled to unlock on his own. She had shown his daughter that she could participate, she could enjoy, that she could feel proud of herself. The man began to think about the challenges his daughter faced daily. Simple things that most children took for granted, like playing with friends or moving freely in a playground, were often difficult or impossible for her. He realized how important it was for her to experience moments of normalcy and joy. And he saw that the girl had created that opportunity effortlessly. She had bridged a gap that he had not been able to fill alone, and he felt a deep sense of gratitude. It was a lesson in humility, teaching him that sometimes help and understanding come from the most unexpected places. Minutes passed, and the father observed the girls dancing together, completely immersed in their own world. He noticed the small ways the girl helped his daughter adjust her wheelchair to spin safely, the way she clapped and cheered for every little achievement, and the way she communicated with her without any words of pity. The father realized that this was more than just a dance. It was a form of communication, a language of empathy and joy. The girl was teaching his daughter to believe in herself, to take pride in her abilities, and to experience happiness without fear or hesitation. Finally, the man decided to step a little closer. He wanted to understand this interaction more fully, to see the connection that had formed between them. As he approached, his daughter's excitement grew. She turned to him, laughing, and said, "Daddy, look, she's teaching me how to dance. Isn't it fun?" The father's heart swelled with emotion. He knelt beside her and smiled, feeling a mixture of pride and gratitude. He realized that the girl had not just brought joy to his daughter, but had also shown him a new perspective on life, the importance of kindness, patience, and genuine connection. The stranger noticed him and gave him another small smile, acknowledging his presence without interrupting the moment. She continued to guide his daughter, maintaining the flow of the dance. The father watched, captivated, as the two girls moved together with grace and harmony. He felt a quiet sense of peace, knowing that his daughter was safe, happy, and experiencing a rare moment of pure joy. The girl had created a space where his daughter could thrive, and he knew that this encounter would have a lasting impact on her confidence and self-esteem. As the dance continued, the father reflected on his own approach to his daughter's life. He had always been protective, careful, and sometimes overly controlling, wanting to shield her from disappointment or harm. But he realized that true growth and happiness came from experiences like this, from moments of freedom and connection, and from the guidance of someone who saw his daughter's potential rather than her limitations. The girl had taught him a lesson in trust and understanding, showing him that sometimes the best way to support someone is to allow them to explore, to try, and to feel joy without interference. The father remained in the room, quietly observing, feeling a growing sense of admiration and respect for the stranger. She had come into their home and, without asking for anything in return, had given his daughter a gift that was far more valuable than material things or structured lessons. She had given her confidence, laughter, and a sense of belonging. The father knew that this moment was rare and precious, and he vowed to honor it by allowing his daughter more opportunities for such experiences in the future. The music continued to play, and the laughter echoed through the room. The father felt a sense of hope and optimism that he had not felt in a long time. He realized that his daughter's life, though challenging in many ways, could be filled with moments of happiness, connection, and love. And he knew that the girl had opened the door to those moments, showing him that kindness and empathy could create lasting change. As he watched the two girls dance together, he felt a deep sense of gratitude. Knowing that this encounter had brought something extraordinary into their lives, the father stood quietly, watching his daughter laugh and move to the rhythm of the music. Every small spin, every hand movement seemed to fill the room with light. He had never seen her so alive, so completely herself. Usually he saw her in a careful, cautious manner, hesitant because of her disability. But now, with this stranger dancing beside her, she seemed fearless. Her eyes sparkled, and her smile was radiant, a pure expression of joy. The man felt an overwhelming mix of emotions: relief, pride, and a touch of awe. The girl guiding his daughter had a calm, patient presence. She seemed to know instinctively how to help without taking over, how to encourage without forcing. She watched his daughter carefully, noticing the smallest signs of hesitation, and adjusted her guidance accordingly. The father realized that this girl was teaching his daughter not just to dance, but to trust herself, to take small risks, and to feel the reward of accomplishment. It was more than movement. It was a lesson in confidence and courage. The father took a step closer, wanting to participate in this moment without interrupting it. He quietly spoke to his daughter, praising her efforts. "You're doing amazing, sweetheart," he said softly. She turned toward him, beaming, and nodded. The girl noticed his presence and gave him a small, reassuring smile. It was a gesture full of understanding, silent message that she meant no harm and that she respected the father's protective instincts. He felt a sense of relief that someone could approach his daughter with such care and empathy. As the minutes passed, the father began to notice the little things that made this interaction so special. The girl adjusted his daughter's wheelchair slightly so she could spin more easily. She held her hand when needed, and she spoke words of encouragement at every step. She never rushed her, never made her feel inadequate. Instead, she celebrated each small success with genuine excitement. The father realized that his daughter was experiencing a type of freedom he could not always provide. It was a moment where her abilities, rather than her limitations, were the focus. He thought about all the times his daughter had watched other children play, wishing she could join in, but feeling left out. He thought about the loneliness she often felt, the hesitation that came from fear of failure or judgment, and now seeing her laugh and spin in the living room with someone who truly understood how to make her feel included, he felt a deep gratitude. This girl had done something remarkable. She had broken through the walls of fear and hesitation. Helping his daughter embrace joy without restraint, the music flowed gently, filling the space with a light energy that matched the mood of the room. The father noticed how the girl moved in sync with his daughter, adjusting her steps to match her pace, making sure each move was safe, yet challenging enough to give her a sense of accomplishment. Every interaction was thoughtful, deliberate, and kind. The father felt a quiet admiration for her, recognizing that such empathy and patience were rare qualities. She had not only made his daughter feel seen, but she had also given her the confidence to explore and express herself. He watched as his daughter tried a new movement, spinning a little faster, her laughter ringing out. The girl clapped and cheered softly, her eyes full of encouragement. When his daughter faltered slightly, the girl extended her hand, helping her regain balance. It was such a small act, yet it carried enormous meaning. The father felt his chest tighten with emotion. He knew that this moment, these gestures, were building something important in his daughter, a sense of self-worth and a belief in her abilities. He remembered the long days of worry and doubt, the times he had feared she would miss out on experiences simply because of her disability. But now, witnessing this interaction, he saw a new possibility. His daughter could have moments of joy, moments where she felt capable, independent, and celebrated for who she was, not limited by what she could not do. And it was all happening because of the kindness and intuition of this girl, a stranger who had entered their home with no agenda other than to share her warmth and guidance. The father felt a growing respect for the girl. She had entered their lives, and without demanding anything, had given something priceless. She had provided his daughter with an experience of true inclusion, a lesson in resilience, and a sense of belonging. It was more than just a dance. It was a connection, a bridge to a world where his daughter could feel confident and joyful. He realized that this encounter could leave a lasting impression on her, shaping how she viewed herself and her capabilities in the future. He observed the subtle communication between them. The girl would use small gestures, gentle words, and a watchful eye to guide his daughter through each step. She created an atmosphere of trust and encouragement, making sure his daughter knew she was capable and valued. The father marveled at how effortlessly she seemed to understand his daughter's needs and emotions. It was a lesson in empathy and patience. He felt a deep appreciation for her presence. The father also reflected on his own role in his daughter's life. He had always tried to protect her, sometimes perhaps too much, shielding her from disappointment or failure. But now he realized that true growth and happiness came from moments like this, from experiences where she could challenge herself, explore new things, and feel the thrill of accomplishment. The girl had shown him that sometimes the best way to support someone is to step back and allow them to experience life fully, with encouragement and guidance rather than control. As the dance continued, the father noticed his daughter's confidence growing with each movement. She was taking chances, trying new steps, and laughing even when she stumbled. The girl beside her remained a steady presence, offering support only when necessary and celebrating each success with genuine excitement. The father felt a profound sense of hope. He realized that with moments like these, his daughter could experience a life rich in joy, friendship, and self-belief. The girl had shown him that limitations could be softened by understanding and kindness. He stepped closer, gently resting his hand on his daughter's shoulder, and smiled. "You're amazing, sweetheart," he whispered. She turned to him, her eyes sparkling, and gave him a nod of affirmation. He could see the pride in her expression, and he knew that this moment, shared with the girl, was more than just a fun activity. It was a memory that would stay with her forever. The father felt grateful, not just for the joy his daughter was experiencing, but for the lesson he was learning alongside her. The girl continued to lead and support his daughter, her patience and empathy evident in every movement. The father watched in quiet admiration, understanding that this interaction was teaching his daughter something profound, that she could be capable, valued, and joyful, regardless of the challenges she faced. It was a lesson in confidence, trust, and human connection, delivered without any words of pity or judgment. As the music flowed and the laughter continued, the father allowed himself to relax completely, letting the moment wash over him. He realized that he had witnessed something extraordinary, a genuine bond forming between his daughter and a stranger who had come into their lives and brought light, confidence, and joy. He knew that this experience could have a lasting impact, shaping his daughter's perception of herself and the world around her. He continued to observe, silently grateful for the presence of the girl who had opened this door. Her actions had created a safe, empowering space where his daughter could explore, express, and celebrate herself. The father knew that this encounter would become a treasured memory, a moment that reminded him of the power of empathy, patience, and genuine human connection. And as he watched the two girls dancing together, he felt a deep sense of hope, knowing that his daughter had experienced something truly special and transformative.